But then in addition to this, Wiener also stepped into around 1945, and he said that by doing this feedback systems, we will be able to remove the human beings from the machine operation and use this human being in a better manner than turning the knobs of a machine. So, use them their intellectual powers to doing better things, and he wrote a book on human use of human beings in 1945, Wiener. And then he started a group called cybernetics. And this word has become now a very, very common word, and we call Hyderabad as Cyberabad, and the cyber is same as the cyber, which Wiener has coined in 1945. So, the cybernetics word has become very common now, and people started looking at the cybernetics in many, many domains to study how the brain works, how human beings work, how crowd will work, how WASP will work as a group together, using all kinds of cybernetics ideas to study various economics. Every field has started using cybernetics. But anyway, credit also goes to Wiener to have popularized this idea of control. But all these people went into the classical mode because at that time there was no concept of a state representation. State representation came only in 1960. Before 1960, the way of looking at systems or networks were only based on simple transfer functions, Laplace transforms, pole zero concept. There is no state way of looking at it. Once the state way of looking at it came due to Dessoir, George and Dessoir, and then of course the people started looking at the control theory with the new perspective of state representation and became a state variable control or modern control theory. So, today we only use modern control theory because very amenable to put that onto a computer. So, computer control, modern control theory ideas have become now common. So, credit goes to these people, fair enough, but there are old timers who go on crying like me that the result of this is people don't even know what is a bandwidth means, and what is a pole zero means, what is the importance of pole, what is the importance of zero, and so on, because they don't need to know. It's all in time domain. But the whole concept of implications of this beautiful concepts like poles and zeros, transient response, and all these are completely unknown to the younger generation. So, the old timers like Horowitz, who still go on writing this paper saying that it's very unfortunate all this modern control theory has killed all the beautiful ideas of system theory. But anyway, those are all different issues. So, today everybody does this, and on top of that there is a fellow Kalman who has given a Kalman filter, which is basically given a system from the output and input, will you be able to find the state, and how to find the state exactly or as close as possible to the actual state in the presence of so many noises, system noise, observation noise. Given all this, how can you find a x vigil which is as close to x as possible, and what is the way you find this x vigil closest to x in the presence of disturbances in the black box as well as the observation noise. He has given a technique called Kalman filter, and now everybody uses Kalman filter for everything, and it has become so commonly used by everybody. So, everybody starts talking about anything you do, first say is Kalman filter. So, it becomes so popular and extremely useful concept. So, that is why modern control theory has become a very important topic. But let me go back to my old days and talk about classical theory. So, in classical theory, what we did was feedback. Right. I can do this also, I can do this also. Right? Previous word is called the open loop control, where there is no feedback. Now I am giving a feedback. So, what is the new transfer function? Very simple. HSGS divided by 1 plus HSGS. Remember 102. By doing this HFS sitting here, a new HFS box, to modify the G of S along with this feedback here, I modify the transfer function to a new transfer function compared to the previous G of S. I modified to G of S HFS divided by 1 plus this. Can I always do this? What can happen if I do this? You studied in op amps. If I do a wrong feedback, the amplifier become oscillator, right? What does it mean? It means it become unstable. So, where is instability coming from? Because of the G H sitting here, the transfer function got modified here. So, the poles of the transfer function now are the zeros of this polynomial. Explicitly, you can write this as equal to, if Hs is equal to P by Q, small p by small q, and Gs is equal to capital P by capital Q, and then this will become equal to Pp divided by Qq plus Pp. And remember your 101, Hs q is a Hurwitz polynomial, and this q is also a Hurwitz polynomial. That means poles or zeros of these two polynomials have to be in the left half plane, but there is no requirement of p and p, small p and capital P having zeros in the left half plane. Now, this is the product of two Hurwitz polynomials is Hurwitz, okay? So, this is Hurwitz, but this is not Hurwitz. Even if these are Hurwitz, there is no guarantee that sum of two Hurwitzes is always Hurwitz. So, the denominator polynomial may not have zeros on the left half plane. If it does not have zeros on the left half plane, this fellow will blow up, will become unstable. So, I will have to make sure that this polynomial now QQPP has zeros only in the left half plane. So, how do I find that? I do it by again doing the Hurwitz test on this. So, take this new polynomial PPQQ and do the Hurwitz test. You know the Hurwitz test, remember? Take the even powers and odd powers and go on doing long division, and all the coefficients must be positive coefficients and non-zero. If that is the case, this polynomial is a Hurwitz polynomial. This is what network theorists have done, but the control theory people, what they did was to organize this Hurwitz test into a way of doing it as a tool, and that was done by Routh-Hurwitz. Basically, they are trying to find whether this polynomial is a Hurwitz polynomial or not. They are given a way of writing this computation, and once that is satisfied, then the zeros are in the left half plane, and hence the system is stable. This is called the Routh-Hurwitz test, which is basically Hurwitz test, but it is in a format which is just blindly you can go on calculating. All this is very fine, provided everyone is constant. But often the GS fellow starts wavering. That means the parameters in that black box are not constant. In the plant, so many things can happen. So the transfer function will go on changing slightly, and if it is changing slightly, P and Q will change. I mean, capital P, capital Q will change. If this changes, this will change, right? If this changes, even then is it stable or not? Okay? That means when this polynomial is going on moving, the zeros of this polynomial or the roots of this polynomial may go on changing because of this change in the g of s. So, how do the roots move as the g of s parameters change or the HFS parameters change, and if they change because of the change in the values of some parameters inside the black box, and then the pole may go from left half plane to right half plane. So, you must guarantee that within the range of these variations, this will never move from the left half plane to right half plane. This test is what people call as a root locus test. How are the zeros of this polynomial moving when there are some variation in the parameter coefficient, I mean the parameters of this polynomial. If by chance in this process of variation here, a left hand pole goes to right half plane, and then you are in trouble. So, that is what the root locus is. You may find, if I remove this here and put this here, this system is exactly the same transfer function. HS from the loop I am pulling out to HFS outside as well as HFS inside, and this is more familiar feedback loop which you see here with a HS sitting here. The previous one is a unity gain feedback, unity gain feedback. I mean unity feedback, not gain feedback, unity feedback, and here of course is modified into representing by GFS and HFS. Then remember this and something else which I am going to talk about are simple tools which people have given you so that you can check whether the overall system with feedback is going to remain stable or not. They are tools basically. And the control theory people, controllers, control designers have used these tools, either the Hurwitz test or root locus test. The next test was the Bode. If you look at this, when HSGS is equal to -1, HSGS is equal to -1, then this becomes 0, right? So, I want to find out for what value of S, or S is equal to j omega, will this ever become -1 for a certain frequency. If it becomes -1, I am in trouble. So you are making sure that the design is such that this is h j omega j g j omega never will become minus 1, which means modulus of this will be if it is 1, phase is not 180 degrees. If phase is 180 degrees, modulus is not equal to 1. That is very easily seen from our 101 knowledge, that easier to see on the Bode plot. So, we plot the Bode plot and find out those frequencies where the magnitude is 1 and check whether the phase is 180 at that point, or phase where the phase is 180, check whether magnitude is equal to 1 or not. As long as there is no such frequency from 0 to infinity, system is stable. So, this is another tool, Bode plot. All amplifier designers use these Bode plots very extensively in making sure that under the feedback condition that you have given, the black box never oscillates. Then there is another fellow, last fellow, there may be many more, one more fellow, which is the same Nyquist. You see all these names? This Nyquist said you don't have to do all this. You can use complex variable theory to find out whether poles will ever be in the right half plane or not. And he has devised a very simple method of finding, not simple, but a method which is called the Nyquist criterion, which simply means that in the complex plane, if you have a contour, right, and if there is a pole here within the contour, and then this will have a residue, and the residue will add up to 2 pi phase. 2 pi j into residue is equal to integral of this, right? Cauchy's theorem. So, if you have a pole and a 0, pole will give you 2 pi addition, 0 will give you a minus. So, number of poles minus number of zeros is equal to the 2 pi times the phase change. So, that will immediately tell you whether there is any phase, any piece and in the right half plane or not, poles and zeros using the complex variable theory. And that is what is called a Nyquist criteria. And then there are many more criteria like this people have developed. Some more names over there.